Oh, and there we are.
It is.
We're
It's
live.
real.
It is real. Yes, it is live for a bit of an impromptu Facebook Live today.
Yeah, it
Um,
is
not
impromptu.
not a bit of an impromptu.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you called me this
definitely
morning and said, "Hey,
impromptu.
can you go live?" So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty
did call you
impromptu.
this
Yeah.
morning. Yeah, that's right. Um, and you graciously accepted. It's true.
I don't know how
Um,
graciously I did it, but I
you
did.
did. It was pretty gracious. I thought it was
Okay.
pretty gracious anyway.
All right.
Um, so yes. So we are live, and we're just going to take a few minutes here talking about healing in general, the journey of healing, and kind of setting the stage for a an event that we're hosting next weekend called Healing the Wounded Heart. And I mean, when thinking through um, it's interesting to me, Dad, and I wonder what you think about this, because you're my well, for everybody that's just tuning in, my name's Joshua Hoffert. If you don't know that, you saw that on the Facebook profile. This is my father next to me, Ken Hoffert. We do a Tuesday night, we do a dream show where we talk about how God engages us and speaks to us through dreams. And one of the things that's kind of underlying, sometimes people can mistake our interest in dreams and their interpretation as a passion for understanding dreams. And I think you could characterize for both of us the reason why we like helping people understand their dreams is because that's one element that God uses to bring healing to the human life
Right.
and to
Very much
reintegrate
so.
the aspects of our heart into his heart so that our journey mirrors and mimics his life. And so
Right.
it's actually, we like dream interpretation, not because we like dreams so much, although we do like dreams, but we like them because of what they effectively do to the human heart. And they're one component of healing. But there's many components of healing as it relates to, I think it's interesting that sometimes the catalyst for people when they think of a term like inner healing, right? And we've got all kinds of different modalities that come up with that inner healing, Sozo, whether that's what we've been involved with HeartSync for a long time, or say Elijah House with John and Paula Sanford, and or even going back even farther to Agnes Sanford, Ruth Carter Stapleton, and even further back than that. Just in the last 100 years, there's been all kinds of people that have had ideas about inner healing. And sometimes I think people think the catalyst for inner healing is to bring to rest my inner anxiety. And so the catalyst for healing is focused on, like, I'm the central focus on inner healing. But really, that's the byproduct of healing. The catalyst for healing is the Father revealing his nature to us. And as he reveals his nature to us, we, like the great Augustine quote, our heart in his Confessions, he says, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you.
Right.
And so it's not so much that we go, oh, inner healing is the right or privilege of the Christian. It's inner healing is the byproduct of the journey to the Father's heart. And so that's one of the reasons why we like HeartSync, is because the modality is all about reconnecting the divided parts of the heart with Jesus. And when you do that, you find healing happening. And this has been like the early church, something that I'm passionate about, which is, I think I may have taken your interest in early church history and kind of quadrupled it, maybe. Maybe doubled it. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
we'll say double.
Yeah. Well, I put all my books behind me. You don't. So, although your library is bigger than mine, you
That's
just
why I don't put them there. I don't want anybody to know.
But the early church generally viewed the issue of salvation not through the lens of legal justification, or we can get into penal substitutionary atonement and all this kind of stuff, right? But generally speaking, the early church viewed salvation as healing, and they viewed the salvation journey as not so much although it is the death blow to sin, but the healing from sin and the effects of sin. And we, in a way, we've kind of lost that emphasis on what it means to be saved and caught up into relationship with Jesus.
Well, and there's plenty of authors, Henry Newen, one of my favorite theologians, N.T. Wright, and others that talk about the journey of, and when I say this, my wife always says, that's just, stop saying it that way. But I don't know a better way to say it. It's the journey of becoming human again.
Yeah.
So what happens is we get born, obviously. So we're here. And there are so few people that grow up in there's nobody who grows up in a perfect world.
That's for sure.
Some have healthier dynamics than others. And so they have they have natural skills in their lives that others don't have, that allow them to handle life situations and difficulties with grace, joy, and peace, rather than what happens to probably a larger percentage of people is that life circumstances throw them for a loop, and they struggle over them. They can't find answers and solutions easily, and they have to just kind of cut off a piece to keep going. And that's when I say cut off a piece of yourself to keep going, so that you protect what you need and that you don't have answers for yet,
right?
Or you salvage a piece of your heart from the pain that surrounds it, and that's often being inflicted on you. There's a lot of different things we could go into there, but so we become less and less our full selves,
right,
throughout this journey, and so that's probably the majority of human beings, is that we become less and less who we were always meant to be from the get-go, because we keep pushing a little piece off here, a little piece off there, a little bit there, and we function and we get to where we need to go, usually, if we're not completely shut down by life's by
right.
pain and difficulties. And when I say that, I say that with a lot of compassion for people that are shut down by life's circumstances and difficulties, because they don't know how to go, they don't know where to move from, and it's a painful thing for them, and it's a healing thing to see them get set free, which we
Right.
often do. But people then become less than their full selves, and the journey back then is to become more human.
Right.
David said it this way, the King David from the Psalms,
From the Bible.
Yes, from the Bible. So the Psalms, which are so powerful in reflecting that heart's cry of something's missing and I need something.
Yeah.
Something's painful and I need healing. I need help. So David said, "Oh, that I might worship you with a whole heart."
Right.
An undivided heart we talk about. And so what does that mean? Our heart is so often divided against itself.
Yeah.
We're protecting pieces so that other pieces can survive, and our heart is not fully integrated. It's Jesus said it from the Bible again. This way, he said, "My peace I give you, but it's not like the peace you're going to find here in this world." And so when we talk about peace in this world, we talk about the absence of violence. If we're going to do a peace treaty, then everybody stops fighting.
Right.
So if we're going to have peace in the family, we're going to get together for Thanksgiving, and we just want to have peace in the family, right? If we're going to have peace in the family, that means nobody's going to come up with a bunch of controversial stuff.
Yeah, well, no conflict.
Get all the stuff stirred up, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what Jesus is talking about.
No, it's not neutral ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What he's saying is peace is that place where there is no it's a heart fully integrated, a complete human being. My peace, he says, is that you will become um, fully put together,
Right.
and so peace becomes not just the absence of conflict, but peace becomes this thing where I am fully, there's nothing in me that gets distracted from one thing or another. I am completely myself.
Right.
That's an amazing kind of peace, and it's not one that most of us experience. So when we talk about inner healing, we're talking about a journey of becoming fully human, which it means we're becoming full of peace, the kind of peace that Jesus talked about. Like you said, that enemy, that Satan, that thing that's against humanity is coming, but it has nothing in me.
Yeah,
There's
Satan.
no
It's
place
not.
that can push me.
Yeah. It's not
I
a.
know
It's not
who
a.
I am. I know where I'm going. I know what it looks like.
Satan's not a formal name. Satan's
Right. It is it's just a title.
an adjective,
Satan,
right?
right.
That's the
The Satan,
accuser. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Recognizing that disintegrating element that continues to wage war against who I am. So I
Exactly.
like how
Right.
Melissa said, fully glued back with love.
Exactly. And that's that hesed. That's what that in
the Hesed, the loving kindness that's translated
right.
as mercy or grace in the Old Testament.
Yeah, and I love how the Life Model guys translate it. It's sticky love, or the love of glue, glue love.
It's what pulls you back together.
Yes.
You could probably say that I'm
having my coffee. It's still midday for me.
Yeah. Just thinking of the Beatitude, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. And how, the just with in light of what you're saying, that peace is not so much the absence of conflict, but it's the presence of something. Right. The peacemaker is called the child of God, the one who comes to fully grasp what it means to be a person of peace, recognizes what it is to be a child of God.
And that doesn't happen by being.
It doesn't happen by happenstance. It's not like
No.
you don't chance into that or luck into that.
Well, no, and you don't have it doesn't happen. What was I going to say? No, by doing it all on your own.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't say, well, today I'm going to be all fully back together.
Right. Yes. One day you just decide it's going to happen. Yes.
You have to know who you
No more anxiety, no more despair,
exactly.
No more turmoil or chaos, no more indecision, no more fear of commitment or relationships or intimacy. I'm done with it. And now today I'm going to be different.
Yes. I'm going to be fully put back together.
No, because there's those hidden disintegrated parts that need to be reintegrated with God, because you could probably say, and I don't think I've said it this way before, but peace grants you, I would say this, peace, the peace that God promises, the peace that Christ promises, grants you the capacity to see yourself in light of who you truly are. Well, you see yourself in light of who you see yourself as you truly are in light of how the Father sees you.
Right.
And this is, again, going back to Augustine. Augustine says his prayer in the Confessions. I think he begins the Confessions with, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you. And then one of the prayers he says, I think it's in book 9, he says, let me know you, let me know myself. Right? How he intimately connects knowing himself can only be done in the context of knowing the heart of God or knowing the Father. And so this is, to me, that is like, we're looking now, we're looking, because I like doing this, looking back 1700 years and going, hey, these guys, these great theological figures are saying essentially the same thing we're trying to say today. We might use different language, but coming to a place of full integration within God so that peace reigns within me and I see myself in light of who I truly am, which is a child of God in light of that, doesn't just it's not an ontological thing that happens to me when I say a prayer.
No.
It's not like it doesn't just it just doesn't come over my being because I label myself a Christian.
Well,
it happens.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it happens because I begin walking within a community of people. I begin practicing the kind of things that welcome the presence of the Spirit in my life, because I connect myself with people that can help me identify those broken parts of my life that do not mirror or reflect the nature of God. And they give me tools and resources to help me bring that aspect of myself back into union with Him. And I love you'd mentioned David, how he says, let me worship with my whole heart. He says that oftentimes throughout Psalm 119. And in fact, I'm convinced Psalm 119 is really the thoughts of Jesus as he's facing the cross. And Psalm 86:11, I think it is, where David says, or the author of the Psalm, I can't remember if it's David or not, says, unite my heart, unite my heart to fear your name. And it's like, if he's saying unite my heart, that means my heart can be divided.
Probably is divided.
And it probably is divided. If he's saying unite my heart, he's saying my heart is divided. And when my heart's divided, it's very difficult to see God as he truly is, or that I might fear your name. Because if in fearing your name, I know you as you truly are, and I find awe and reverence in you.
Well, and you look at the writer in the New Testament, James, where he says, he's talking about not having a divided heart.
Oh yeah.
And we get that we miss that.
Double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. That's what
because that's a divided heart.
Yeah, actually, the word double-minded is the Greek word, and you're the Greek scholar here. You have the degree in classical languages. So it's the word for double-minded is daisukos, and it literally means double-souled. So, and the soul really is the resident place of your identity, right? The natural makeup of your life, who you kind of convey yourself to be in this world.
Right.
So to be daisukos is not, and this is where people look at it and say, well, it just means like not being
thinking two different thoughts. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly. No. This means being of two different identities.
Right.
And when you're of two different identities, it is incredibly difficult to present yourself to God. It's incredibly difficult to present yourself to others authentically. Right. It's impossible to present yourself to God authentically.
Right.
And this is the process of bringing, and this is what Jesus says. It says, "Let your eye be single, and it will be full of light." Right? He says that in the Sermon on the Mount, and it's like all this stuff is about coming back to oneness with Him, union with Him,
which is a process.
Which is a process, absolutely. Right. But he says, "Let your eye be this." Right? That means that there's a process. It implies time, and we
we've got this thing where people are really just expect it to be done immediately.
Yeah,
I said these magic words in a prayer.
I have the incantation down.
Yeah, and so it has to be done.
Right.
It must be done right now. So why am I still? And you have salvation is Jesus. So salvation, which we've talked about, is actually becoming securely attached to the Creator.
Yeah.
We then in Romans 8 understand that there's nothing but love coming back to us.
Yes,
that's secure attachment. Is that I see nothing but love coming back to me, even in the midst of my difficulties, even when I make a mistake, even when I don't say the right thing, even when I falter and look in a different direction. If I understand Romans 8, it's that I am so attached to God and understand his nature and his character that he loves me and it can't change.
Yeah.
Then that is the basis for the process, the journey of my heart getting knit back together again.
Yeah.
It has to start somewhere. So it has to start by, so we don't trust people in our lives because we've been wounded,
right,
or been ignored,
and
and both of those can have the same kind of effect.
Yeah, for sure.
When we don't trust people fully, then I can't. can't move forward because I'm always holding back.
Yeah.
But if I find one place where I can fully trust, then the journey begins towards being knit back together again. And we
Right.
see it in Peter, we see it in Paul, we see it in James, we see it in John, the New Testament writers, that they all talk about this process of change.
Right.
Add to this, to that. Peter says, when you start with this, you add to it with this, you add with this, you add with self-control. We add to this, and Paul goes through a list. These are the fruit. This is the fruit of the Spirit. These things. He's naming things off that we progress in. We have to move in a direction so that our hearts become put back together again, and that doesn't happen. First of all, we've talked about it. It doesn't happen alone. It happens in community.
Yeah, for sure.
And it can happen very naturally in community if we move in that direction.
Unfortunately, our communities usually aren't that healthy.
Yeah, but I remember, I grew up in a house that was, mixed. You met my parents.
Yeah, I did.
And there were good things about them, and there were messed up things.
For sure, yeah.
So it was a mix.
You've met my parents; they were the same thing.
Parents, but they were pretty awesome. But so you go through this thing where you have things that are missing. Skills that I like the life model guys talk about skills that we need.
Right.
The 19 life skills that tend to be missing. And you can go through just Google life model works and look for the life skills that there. But there's a whole list of skills. Learning to be quiet in our hearts, learning to
that's not easy.
Settle back down from overload back to quiet. Some people don't know how to do that. And anyway, so when I started going to a church, and it wasn't a perfect church, but it was a church, I just naturally, I began to look at, and I only thought about this process later. It wasn't that I was thinking about it at the time. Looking at people that were doing things that I didn't know how to do. So what I realized is, that's how you do that. And I would hang around with that person and learn how they did it. Just watch them. I didn't go around saying, "Hey, how do you do that?" But rather watching a person who seemed to have peace. How does a person have peace? I don't know. My heart's not peaceful, but that person has peace. What does
I can see something different about them.
Yeah. So you watch them and you see how they react in situations. Then you have conversation with them and talk to them about, and they, a lot of times those people, because they grew up in a healthier environment, don't even know they have these skills.
Right.
It's just natural to them.
Right.
So learning to be quiet, to settle back down is one of those early skills that can be missed, because it's the moving from joy to peace, to peace. That if it doesn't happen right when we're babies, so think about that real quickly. So babies, they laugh, they smile, they're looking straight in your eyes, and then they look away for a short bit of time, and then they look back and they stare you right back in the face again. That's the skill of learning to quiet. And if a parent doesn't allow that, they think, "Oh no, I need my baby's attention. I need my baby's attention. Keep looking at me. Keep looking at me." And they don't let the child learn the skill of going up the hill and coming back down again. Then it's almost impossible when you're later in life to reinvent that skill unless you find people who know how to do it.
Right. Because you don't have the map to find it yourself. Exactly. You already have a map established.
They're brain patterns, right? And you need to learn those things, and they can be learned.
Yeah.
Part of it is getting your heart healed, encountering the one who heals hearts, which is the Creator.
It seems
so that your heart can get knit back together again.
Yeah. It seems to me that with all I love everything you're saying, Dad. What people end up doing who are in that place where they've had we could call it malformation, right?
Right.
It's formation, but not formation in a healthy way.
Right.
And so I don't know how to return
It's like
back
a
to that.
tree. Instead of growing straight, it grows with a
Yes.
lean to it.
And
Yeah.
it takes a long time to recorrect that kind
Right.
of growth. And maybe you find an adjacent tree and tie a connection between the two trees and
Right.
right. Anyway, but one of the things I'm thinking about is that what we tend to do when we're in that place is we try and remove the external stimuli that causes the painful response or
Right.
the response of anxiety or the response of lust,
Yeah.
the response of desire, the things that we can't control that just
Right.
kind of overwhelm us, right?
Right.
And so we think
We set a
if I
lot of parameters and rules and
we set
regulations
parameters,
around
and that's
us.
not bad.
Blinders. We put the blinders on so we can't see.
It's not necessarily a bad thing to set. We're
No.
not saying don't set boundaries or parameters. But I had read this quote to you before we went live. It's Anthony the Great, of course, one of the catalysts for the great monastic movement in Christian history. He says, you can escape from the three battles of seeing, speaking, and hearing, but you can never escape from the great battle of the heart. You will always wage war with the heart, right? You can take all the external stimuli away, all those things that drive you to anxiety, all those pain reminders, all those, you can go lock yourself in a sensory deprivation chamber and remove every single thing that has driven you insane, in those quiet moments or in those moments, or driven you to a chaotic lifestyle or inner turmoil. When I say insane, I mean inner turmoil. But you'll never. There's always that unmapped way of your heart getting back to that place of how am I appreciated and valued, and who finds joy in me, and where's my place of love and belonging and acceptance. If the map isn't there, it doesn't make a difference how much of the external stimuli you remove.
That's true.
Can't get there by yourself. You need others. Hence, that's why we're doing the Healing the Wounded Heart webinar. That's why we do the kind of spiritual formation teaching and training that we do. That's why I write the books that I write. That's why we do the dream interpretation show. Is all of it is this kind of comprehensive way of helping people find the path back to love and acceptance and wholeness. It's not, as Melissa says, it's impossible without others, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible,
right? It requires connection with others, requires help from others, because there's always going to be missing gaps in my formation. Even you could live in the most perfect environment in this world growing up, and you're still going to have gaps in formation. You're going to have better tools than most people, but you're still going to have gaps in formation. And you can, by engaging with others, engaging with the Holy Spirit, and walking in community and walking in union with God, you can find those resources, and you can find that peace in your life that's not just the removal of external conflict, but is the presence of seeing myself as I truly am. And then I can give myself as I
does take time, and it does take community. I mean, look at Jesus took 3 years with his disciples.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was putting them back together so that they could live the kind of life that was necessary.
That's right.
To take this message far and wide, with a lot of opposition, and not everybody. So think about this too. You have to choose to do it.
Yeah.
That's the one choice you get to make.
He was the most successful discipler ever, but he still didn't get everybody.
Again, Judas didn't make it. He faltered at the end.
He fell to shame.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is necessary. Even if your community is, now these days, a lot of people find community within an internet connection.
Sure.
And that can be helpful. It's very helpful to sit down and actually have coffee with someone. But absent that, you can certainly create a community in the cloud, so to speak. And there can be a lot of progress that's made there. So yes, community is multifaceted at this point, as we've learned through our whole COVID experience.
Yeah, so that's right.
Community can be taken online if we have to.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, well, we could just go on and on for
Oh, we
sure
could.
and
We
talk
could.
about this, but that's why we have a webinar next weekend.
We
Um,
do. And
yeah,
it'll be
and
awesome.
it will be awesome. Yeah. So August 26th and 27th is the Healing the Wounded Heart webinar. I'm putting a link. The link is in the video description. It's also right there in the comments of the video that you're watching, whether you're watching this live or watching this after the fact. Click the link, take a look at. There's a syllabus there. There's a description there. You get a pretty good idea of where we're going to go. In certain respects, it'll be my dad and I and both of our wives, my wife and my dad's wife,
Who will
Erin
talk
Hoffert.
about very practical things.
Yeah, we'll get down to the nitty gritty of what
Yeah,
it looks like
they
to
will be.
prepare your heart.
They will. You will say, "Oh, I like Josh and Ken. They teach nicely." But you'll say about them, "Wow, that was amazing."
Yeah, that's right. Erin and Teresa, that's right. So very comprehensive approach in the time that we have anyway for 4 days. We have 4 sessions.
Right.
So you can find all the information there. Registration is there. As always with events like this, we never want finances to be a barrier to your healing journey, because they aren't a barrier to your healing journey. And anybody that makes it a barrier to your healing journey, I'd take issue with that. So if financially it's difficult for you to afford the registration cost, just send us a message. I know I've gotten a couple messages from people, and we're going to work with them. So anyway, that's there. But if you can afford it, then it really the registration cost really helps the ministry steward the things that we're trying to steward. Melissa, yes, I got your message. I'm going to respond to it. Don't worry. I did get your message just a little bit ago. So that check out the Healing the Wounded Heart course listing, register for the course. It's next weekend. I noticed actually we sent an email just a little bit ago that said it was this weekend.
This weekend. It is not this weekend.
We'll print a retraction or something. So anyway, that's coming up, and we'd love to have you guys participate and join us. And we've got lots of resources we'll recommend, and lots of things coming down in the coming months, in the coming years. There'll be more resources to help you on that journey of integration, where your heart finds its rest in God. And whether that's through a dream interpreted, whether that's through a devotional, whether that's through a video series, whether that's through a talk, whether that's through a class that we do, whatever, there's lots of resources we put out that are an effort to help you find that place of solace before the God, or peace before God, rest before God, which is really the place of healing. Yeah, and so we just bless everybody. Thanks for joining on this impromptu live stream.
Yeah.
And
nice of you to jump in.
Yeah, nice of people to jump in and participate. And maybe we'll host more of these at certain times in an impromptu way. So thanks for participating. Check out the link, and thank you for listening. Thank you for comments, and been great to see everybody on. And so hope to see you all next weekend at the Healing the Wounded Heart online seminar. So and by the way, it'll all be recorded also. So if you can't make all of the sessions because of your schedule, then the recordings will be made available. So it's August 26th and 27th. There's a session Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday evening. And if you click on the link, you'll see all the times in your time zone. Not in your time zone, but you'll have to adjust it to your time zone in Eastern and Pacific time. So we bless everybody, and
which neither of us live in.
That's true, actually. Yeah. That's just how people think mostly.
Yeah.
So So until next time, we'll see you guys.
All right. Bye.
All right. Hasta la vista.